Hi Star Seeds! For those of you who don't know me, my name is Irene and Greg is behind the camera and we're here once again to give you an amazing recipe. So what are we making today? Today we are making sweet and spicy seitan chunks. Okay, now this is a great recipe, especially if you're self-isolating and you can't get your hands on some Asian takeout. This will definitely hit the spot. But before we get into the recipe, don't forget to like and subscribe and also share this video with your loved ones. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we upload a video. Let's get in the kitchen. So right now we're gonna be making the seitan chunks. And for this recipe, you're gonna need 1 cup of vital wheat gluten. So we're just gonna add that to a bowl. To that, we're gonna be adding in 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. This is gonna give it some extra flavor. That's 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. We're doing about an 1/8 teaspoon of pepper and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So with a spoon, we're just gonna mix all of these ingredients up. And what we're gonna do next is combine a bunch of wet ingredients, okay? It's kind of like baking a cake. You got your wet ingredients and you got your dry ingredients. And the wet ingredients is gonna help us to form the seitan chunks. So once you've mixed this up and it's nice and combined, you're just gonna set it aside. Get a clean bowl. And to it, we're gonna be adding in 1/2 cup of tomato sauce. We're gonna be adding in a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of olive oil or oil of your choice, a 1/4 cup of water, and lastly, we're gonna be grating in some fresh garlic. This is gonna give it some really great flavor. So with a whisk, you're just gonna whisk all of these ingredients up because in a moment, we're going to be pouring all of this goodness inside the dry ingredients. So now that it's nice and combined, we can go ahead and do that. Just pour it in. And then using a spoon at first, you can just mix the ingredients. Now we don't want to form a dough, okay? We want to get in there with our hands at this point and just make little small pieces, okay? So you're not gonna knead this. You're just going to do as I am doing because we don't want thick pieces of seitan. We want small pieces so that they get crispy and they cook well. So just make sure that all of the flour is incorporated inside. And if you find that it's a little too wet, you can always add a little more dry ingredients. I mean, if you find that the mixture is a little too wet, you can always add an extra tablespoon of vital wheat gluten flour, which I think I am going to do because that's what I did last time, is I added in a little bit of extra flour. So I'm gonna go ahead and add an extra tablespoon of vital wheat gluten flour only because I found that my mixture was a little too moist. And now we're just gonna go in there with our hands once again and make small little pieces. So this is all you have to do. Just take the tiniest of pieces, like so. And to be honest with you, I think this actually needs 1 more tablespoon of vital wheat gluten. It's a little on the moist side. So after we're done cutting these small pieces up, I'm probably gonna add in, not probably, I will add in 1 tablespoon of vital wheat gluten flour. So now that my seitan chunks are in tiny little pieces, we're gonna add in an extra tablespoon of vital wheat gluten flour. So altogether, I used 1 cup and 2 tablespoons of flour. And now we're just going to gently just sort of toss it with your fingers, like so. So now that our seitan chunks are ready, we're going to prepare the frying pan because we're gonna fry them up. So to the frying pan, you're gonna add in 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil or oil of your choice. And to that, we're just going to grate some garlic. I'm just grating about 1 clove, but you can grate as many as you like. This is great because it'll infuse some much needed flavor into the seitan. And now we're also going to grate some ginger. So grate up as much as you like. I like a lot of ginger. Okay, so who doesn't love the smell of ginger and garlic frying up? I love it. So now what we're gonna do is just add in the seitan. And guys, again, you just wanna make sure when you're putting it in that the pieces are, you know, separated and small, because seitan has a tendency to sort of merge together. So just make sure they're in little pieces, like so. So as you see, some of my pieces have merged together into larger pieces. I'm just making sure that they're not going in the frying pan as a large piece, because then you'll get gummy seitan pieces. So just make sure you're cutting them up. I know it's tedious, but it's worth it in the end. So you don't want to throw all of your seitan in the pan unless you have a very large frying pan, because if you crowd the seitan, they might actually merge together. So if you have a small frying pan, make sure you do it in batches, okay? And mix it up a bit. So as you can see, I put these ones in first. So now they're getting nice and crispy, and I sort of put them to the side and then added the fresh ones. So my frying pan is so small. If your pan gets a little dry, don't be afraid to add in a little bit of extra oil, because we are going to be cooking our seitan for about 10 minutes, making sure that it's nice and crispy and actually really cooked through. So at this point, you can just move it around with a spatula or spoon. Break up any bits that have merged together and just let it cook. We've been cooking our seitan for about 10 minutes on medium to high heat. And as you can see, they've browned quite nicely and they're a little firmer now, but we're gonna continue cooking them. And while our seitan is cooking, we're going to make the sauce. So I've got half a cup of soy sauce here. So to that, we're gonna be adding in 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. I know it seems like a lot, but you know, this makes for about 2 to 3 people, so it might not be that big of a deal. I'm also gonna add in 3 tablespoons or so of agave nectar. And again, this is a sweet and spicy dish, and you know Asian dishes have a lot of sweetness to them. So before we mix it, we're gonna go ahead and add in 2 garlic cloves. It's the first one going in. There goes the second one. And now a little bit of fresh ginger. So lastly, we're adding in a pinch of red chili flakes for a bit of kick. And now with a spoon, we're gonna just stir it up. And this beautiful, delicious sauce is gonna go all over our seitan. So our seitan is nice and crispy. You will get some chunks that are a little bit gummy on the inside, but that's totally normal. For the most part, it's super crispy. And now we're going to add in the sauce. So in goes the sauce. Oh yeah. And now you just want to mix it all up. Let the seitan absorb all of those flavors. And we're going to cook this until all of the juice has evaporated and has been sort of absorbed by the seitan. So you want to cook this on low heat. Okay, so it's been about 7 minutes and the water has evaporated, and you can see that it's starting to bubble on the bottom. So now it's really starting to caramelize. So you want to cook it until you see that it becomes shiny and sort of has a shiny texture to it, and all the water is gone and it's nice and caramelized. So I'd say cook for another 7 minutes or so. So it's almost ready, but not quite. So what we're gonna do now is just add in a little bit of ginger, fresh ginger on top, and a pinch of chili flakes. Now just give it a good mix. Looks good, smells good. Okay, starseeds, this looks absolutely amazing, and I'm just going to add a little bit of rice to my dish. And this is just so sweet and spicy and delicious. I can't wait for you guys to try this recipe. And I'm gonna go ahead and add in some chili flakes. So Greg and I are going to sit down and have a bite for you guys. So lunch is ready, and Greg is starving. So I actually had this yesterday.
So did I.
We both had it yesterday. I'm gonna try this for you.
Oh my God. This is killer. It's so good.
Oh my God. Wow.
It's so tasty.
Isn't it really good?
So much flavor. Oh my God.
If you're craving for takeout, and you know, during this whole self-isolating time, there's no way you can get takeout, please make this recipe. It's actually really, really good. It's delicious, and it's spicy, it's sweet. It's perfect. So
it's amazing.
yeah, it is. It's really good. And you know, you could have it with vegetables. You don't have to have it with rice. You can have it with noodles. You can have it with vegetables.
This is one of my favorite dishes.
It's good, right?
It's really good. Like, it's so good. Really good, right?
Really good.
Oh my God. You gotta have this every day. No problem.
Just make sure you follow the recipe to the T, and make sure that you cook your seitan very well on the frying pan. So I'll leave all the details in the description below for you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying your time at home with your loved ones. I don't know if I should say that we're enjoying it, because today we almost killed each other.
Yep.
I say it with love. I love you.
Love it too.
Happy lunch. Bye, Starseeds. Mwah.